The ending of Boruto TBV VORTEX is pretty obvious. By the way the story is going right now, I think it's very likely we end up with a scenario where Boruto and Kawaki have to fight Jura for the survival of the planet. They're already doing subtle things to settle the fight. I already know a lot of you could pretty much guess this, but I still want to talk about how the story could execute this final battle, and how much the timeline had to change to reach such a climax. So before we really get into the nitty gritty, I do analysis videos like this extremely often, so if you enjoy hearing about potential conflicts and other interesting narratives regarding Boruto, then just drop a like. It motivates me to keep going and it helps the video get more traction in the YouTube algorithm. And without further ado, let's get into it. I guess I should start by explaining the severity of the situation Boruto, along with the rest of the shinobi world, is facing right now. So, as many people know, the Shinju are considered the main antagonists of the story right now, and by good reason. They're humanoid creatures made from the evolution of the Ten-Tails that possess their own individual mind. Now, narratively speaking, defeating the Shinju themselves doesn't require too much sense of urgency. It just got revealed that even though they possess great strength and godlike abilities, their minds are still juvenile, meaning they can be manipulated into being friends or acquaintances with the main characters of the story. Basically, they can be tricked into believing whatever you want them to, with a little sweet talking. Where the real sense of urgency comes from when dealing with these things is the fact that they're ever evolving, meaning they just can't stay in this world forever. At some point they must be defeated. Remember, they're still a part of the Ten-Tails, and the Ten-Tails is the seedling for the Divine Tree. Boruto stated that because of Code's intervention, they already begun their evolution into Divine Trees, most likely in response to the White Karma. And just in case you want to find out exactly what the White Karma really is, and how it affected the Shinju, causing them to evolve without the need to devour an Otsutsuki, I did make a video going into detail about that topic, so click the video in the top right corner of your screen if you're interested. So just because of this, that alone puts pressure on the main cast to get rid of the Shinju before they evolve into Divine Trees, eventually bringing upon the worst possible future. And then there's the fact that Sasuke, Moegi, and everyone else that got turned into trees are stuck in a suspended state, and they're gonna keep being stuck until their Shinju counterpart is defeated. Some people may or not know this, but these trees act similar to a Divine Tree, meaning they're constantly siphoning life energy from the host until it's completely dead and drained. And in this case right here, the host isn't the planet, it's the people currently trapped in the many Divine Trees. So all that does is just add to the already bad situation. But to fix this situation, all they have to do is kill off the main perpetrator, the one steering the crisis they're facing right now, and that would be Jura. The only problem is, Jura seems to be one of, if not the strongest antagonist the ninja world has ever seen. The gap in strength from him in comparison to the rest of the Shinju is absolutely astounding. So much so that Boruto, the boy who's been doing nothing but training for the past 3 years into what is widely considered one of the strongest shinobi to ever live, can't even hold a candle to him. So it just goes to show, to defeat Jura, it's going to take more than what the mortal body can hope to achieve. Their only hope to gain the power needed to save the planet is through divine grace, or power not from this world. Believe it or not, the Naruto franchise has been going in this direction of needing godlike power to cast away these godlike enemies since late Shippuden. Naruto and Sasuke needed power from a godlike figure like Hagoromo to be able to even stand a chance against Madara, who absorbed the Divine Tree and became the Jinchuriki of the Ten-Tails, or even Kaguya Otsutsuki, the mother of all chakra. So you see, pertaining to what we're dealing with here, at minimum you need to inherit or possess some type of divine power in order to deal with a threat of this level. And right now, there's only 2 people who fit that criteria, and that's of course Boruto and or Kawaki. Both possess power from godlike entities and have abilities that are considered divine techniques, or using inverse terminology, Shinjutsu. We've known the extent of Kawaki's Shinjutsu ever since near the end of part 1, but Boruto's hasn't been revealed quite yet. It's pretty inevitable sooner or later he'll have his own signature Shinjutsu, just because of him inheriting the power of Momoshiki, who also has extensive knowledge of all Shinjutsu and possesses a couple unnamed techniques as well. He even has the potential to unlock one of the most broken dojutsu in all of existence in the Jogon. So you have to admit, the potential is there, of course, for both of these guys to gain even more power. But the question to ask here is exactly how is the story setting all of this up? As it pertains to the timeline, how is it being altered to bring us to a future to where Boruto and Kawaki is prepared enough to handle a threat of this caliber? Well, it's all a part of Kashin Koji's plan. He's the main orchestrator behind this plan of getting these boys ready for this fight. Since he can see into the future, there must have been a timeline to where Boruto and Kawaki were fighting against Jura at the end. And of course, we're shooting for the timeline where they actually win the fight. So in order to get this outcome, there were necessary steps to make that a reality. So real quick, let's enter the mind of Kashin Koji. The first step of the plan was to find Boruto. As the main focus in this operation, he was necessary because he can act as a spokesperson for Koji, to relay all of his messages to certain people without outright giving out his identity. In him having the necessary physical strength and skills, he's also needed to go around and trying to make change to the timeline, whether that be relaying information to whoever or just simply fighting. So the first order of business was to make Boruto stronger, strong enough to handle the obstacles that was to come later on. Koji seen how strong Boruto was in the future, more accurately probably around 6 or 7 years. But to make the necessary change needed to make any meaningful change to the timeline, that power was needed now. Boruto can't defeat Jura right now, and in the original unaltered timeline, he was weaker. So there had to be a way to accelerate his growth rate. So when it was time to fight Jura, he would be at the necessary level needed to play his part in defeating him. So he decided that teaching him all the skills and abilities that he knew in the future right before he was killed by Jura would accelerate his power progression. So by the time where it was time to fight Jura, he'd be honing his skills enough and adding to that power to a point where he can match or even surpass Jura's ability. But since Koji believes that it would take both Boruto and Kawaki to beat Jura, maybe Boruto and Kawaki individually won't ever surpass Jura, but them working together simultaneously can reach that goal. So the first step, accelerate Boruto's progress. Done, but not yet completed. Because of course Boruto still has some time before he's where Koji envisioned him. So for the time being, he can work on the second step, and that is to awaken Kawaki's untapped potential. Kashin Koji knows personally that Amato is the secret to Kawaki reaching the level necessary for him to be at the end. You see, Kawaki is a little different than Boruto. Most of his power is going to be artificial. You won't really see him training to acquire his strength like Boruto. That doesn't mean he won't reach Boruto's level. All it means is that his way of getting there is going to be extremely different, similar to how Naruto and Sasuke had very different methods of gaining power, but at the end they was on very similar levels of power. So Amato awakening the true power of Kawaki's karma should give him the strength needed to play his part in the fight. As Ishiki stated, Kawaki was the one capable of truly housing his full power, even possibly surpassing him. That's why he's seen him as an ideal vessel. With Kawaki, I believe the source of most of his power is psychological. His desire to protect and eliminate everything that poses a threat to Naruto, his desire to kill the Otsutsuki, the source of all his trauma, and the reason he's like the way he is. All that will give him power. Think of it on the level of how hatred fueled Sasuke to gain even more power throughout the story. Him getting his Mangekyo Sharingan, even that hatred making him gain power, eventually evolving his Susanoo. Those strong feelings along with his awakening will get Kawaki the power necessary to be where he needs to be at the end. As we can see, Koji already made the necessary steps to make that a reality. He made Boruto tell Kawaki about his hidden power, and apparently had them come to an agreement to work together and put their squabbling aside until the Shinju are dealt with. But don't get me wrong, there are still some things that need to be done for this timeline to happen, and that's what he's working on right now. To set the stage of this final fight, steps need to be took to increase the odds of a Boruto and Kawaki win. And one of these steps is to subtract the Shinju in numbers. Once they destroy the others with as minimum effort possible, they'll attack Jura with Boruto and Kawaki at front and center. It's important to execute this plan exactly how Koji says, because during the other timeline, It's possible the reason Boruto and Kawaki lose is because on top of fighting Jura, they'll also be fighting off the other Shinju as well, and that'll prove to be too much for the both of them to handle. So first, it's very important to single Jura out. You gotta isolate him before taking him down. So everything Koji's doing right now on the outside of Boruto, like sending Sarada and the others to the Land of Wind and having them befriend the Shinju and betray them, is to work towards this favorable outcome. Last thing that pertains to this path that Kashin Koji is taking is the final outcome. And yes, I'm talking about the last fight between Boruto and Kawaki. Yeah, by making Kawaki stronger, you're indirectly making Boruto's job of actually defeating Kawaki much harder. Either way you look at it, he's gonna have to fight Kawaki. It's already set in stone. But making him as strong as possible to ensure the survival of Konoha, along with the Shinobi world, Boruto is gonna have a much harder time dealing with that when it's all said and done. But that's the price to pay to even get to that point. Because if Kawaki's not strong enough, he'll get devoured leading to the end of the planet anyway. So it's not like they really have a choice altogether. It must be done. And that's really all there is to it. So let me know how you feel about Kashin Koji's plan to get Boruto and Kawaki ready for the upcoming battle to come. By the end of the story, Boruto and Kawaki, along with their newly acquired power, should be enough to handle anything Jura has to throw at them. All there is to do right now is alter the timeline enough for these events to take place. So anyway, like always, if you enjoyed the video and want to see more like this in the future, be sure to drop that like, comment, subscribe, and turn on the noties so you know when I upload or go live for chapter reviews. And until next time, I'll see you boys and girls later. And I'm out. Peace.